Hello, I'm Lisa. Today my topic is talking about culture teaching in foreign language teaching. First of all, I want to introduce the source. This study was derived from Theory and Practice in Language Studies, Volume 3, Number 2, pages from 371 to 375, February 2013, which was released by Academy Publisher manufactured in Finland. The author, Li Sun, was a lecturer at the School of Foreign Language, Changchun University of Science and Technology, Changchun, China. The purpose of this study is to explain why it's significant for foreign language educators to know cultural differences when they teach a foreign language, and to give three aspects which cause the cultural differences. Furthermore, the study also suggests some possible solutions for foreign language teachers. Introduction: all people must learn language, knowledge, skills, and conversation so as to adjust himself to the society and qualify himself as a social member. This holds true not only for one's native language, but also for learning a foreign language. Language is a social product that fully embodies the culture of the speech community and is closely related to the culture of the speech community. Language and culture. The relationship between language and culture. Language and culture are interconnected and thus influence each other. The relation between language and culture is dynamic. Firstly, language is an important part of culture. It is the primary vehicle by which a culture transmits its beliefs, values, and norms. Secondly, language is influenced by culture. In foreign language learning, linguistic transfer refers to the effect of one language, usually the native language, on the learning of another, usually the target language. This is also a common strategy employed by foreign language teachers, which is that the learners often use native language patterns or rules in learning the target language. This is called native transfer or interference. Language is inextricably bound up with culture, and culture values are both reflected by and carried through language. Accordingly, it is inevitable that the way of thinking and expressing influenced by native culture will be consciously transferred to the target language during the intercultural communication, that is, culture transfer. As a matter of fact, the most difficult thing for language learners to deal with in their study is not linguistic forms or grammar, but the cultural differences. Cultural schema refers to the knowledge structure based on cultural knowledge. Cultivation of cultural awareness. The cultural knowledge associated directly with the target language is to be regarded as, first and foremost, the foreign language teaching. Three aspects of culture involved are as follows. Number 1, customs. Number 2, psychology. Number 3, historical backgrounds. Custom. Customs refer to the habits and traditions formed in the daily life and communication of a speech community. Among them are greeting, addressing, gratitude, apologies, departure, and so on. For example, the Chinese usually greet each other by saying, "Where are you going? Have you eaten yet? How much is your salary?" These greetings are intended to show their concern and intimacy. However, the same greetings may bring nothing but embarrassment and bewilderment to Westerners. One thing we have to keep in mind is that the Westerners has a keen sense of privacy. The discrepancy of different notions in social systems, culture, and ethic lead to that of addressing. Kinship terminology, describing how people in various parts of the world refer to relatives by blood and marriage, is a universal feature of language because kinship is so important in social organization. For instance, Chinese makes a finer distinction of kinship. On the other hand, the Westerners possess very limited scope of addressing their relatives such as grandpa, grandma, uncle, and aunt. Chinese people and Westerners also differ in their ways of visiting. The Chinese usually pay a casual visit to their relatives or friends without informing them in advance. Westerners, however, will habitually make a phone call beforehand to ensure that the host is convenient and ready for their visit. Psychology. People's psychology may differ in the sense that values and morals cherished vary from nation to nation. As is well known, individualism and equality are pursued in Western nations. They care for frankness and clear statements of opinion. On the other hand, the Chinese value modesty and collectivism rather than individuality and directness. Historical background. The term historical background covers the historical development of culture and the accumulation of cultural ethic. This kind of knowledge is directly related to some historical figures or events and has to be learned specifically. A lot of idioms are like this. 3 basic principles. What is the fundamental principle to be obeyed so as to eliminate as many problems as possible on account of culture difference? In short, there are 3 basic principles. First, step-by-step principle. Second, appropriateness principle. Third, mainstream principle. Step-by-step principle. Developing students' cultural awareness should follow a sequence of simplicity to complexity, surface to depths. The teachers must be conscious of the general level of his students and constantly adjust the scope and depth of his cultural teaching. Appropriateness principle. In cultivating students' cultural awareness, we must bear in mind that the ultimate goal of teaching culture is to promote their linguistic knowledge and communicative content. The teacher must strike a proper balance between linguistic teaching and culture teaching. Mainstream principle. Culture covers a wide range including geography, art, custom, history, and science. There are sub-branches under each culture. The teacher is to distinguish the mainstream from the less important and to introduce to the students the mainstream. Reflection. In the past few decades, in foreign language teaching, teachers have usually focused on the language points, but neglected the importance of culture introduction. So most students know a great many words and grammar, but lack the ability to use the language properly. Critique. This study just roughly mentioned 3 aspects of culture: customs, psychology, and historical background, but lacks a deeper and systematical elaboration on those issues. However, they arouse my interest to seek for more research about those aspects, especially in instance. The psychology part is obviously insufficient for understanding the difference between 2 cultures, and maybe it's the most difficult part to make clear because it's about the philosophy of the formation of a culture. The major problem here is in slide 19. It talks about teachers should distinguish the mainstream from the less important. But the study didn't define what mainstream is, so it will be an issue I will pay attention to. Also, many aspects of culture are less popular and unknown due to who holds power in the culture, but should not be referred to as less important. In the last slide, I come up with some possible application. First, English teachers should learn the cultural background knowledge well before teaching. We should know politics, geography, history, art, religion, literature, and other aspects of social life. Second, we should not only introduce the culture knowledge, but also compare the differences between the 2 languages, so our students can learn the foreign culture better. That's all for today's topic. Thank you for listening to my presentation. Thank you.